Hello, my dear students. Welcome back to your science online class. Hope you all are happy and healthy. So, students, today we will study chapter number 9, Animals and Their Young. In this chapter, we will learn how different animals produce their young ones or their babies. As we know, students, that all the living organisms, be it plants or animals, have the ability to produce more of their own kind, and this process by which living beings produce new individuals or their young ones or babies is called reproduction. So it is through reproduction that life keeps on existing on our planet Earth, and in other words we can say all living organisms produce young ones of their own kind or their babies, and this is called as reproduction. And students, there are two types of animals, or we can say reproduction takes place in two forms. First is by laying eggs, and second is giving birth to babies. And different animals are classified into these two categories on the basis of their process of reproduction. First, let's study in detail about egg-laying animals. So students, there are several animals such as birds, frogs, butterflies, snakes, etc. That produce their young ones or their babies by laying eggs, and their babies develop inside the egg, and once the baby gets mature, it comes out or hatches out of the egg. Now let's know about different parts of an egg. So an egg has three main parts. First is eggshell, which is a thin protective layer or outer covering of an egg. Second is albumen, which is the white substance inside the egg, and it is very rich in protein. Third is yolk, which is the yellow and innermost part of an egg. It is very rich in vitamins and fats and minerals. And students, this yolk also contains food for the growing baby till it develops into a young one. Moving forward, now let me show you something very interesting, that is how an egg develops into a young one. Let's have a look. So students, this is how a young one develops inside an egg, so systematically. Moving forward, now let's study about reproduction in birds. So students, all birds reproduce their young ones by laying eggs, and most birds build nests or their homes on trees to lay their eggs and to raise their young ones. And students, these birds keep their eggs in a warm place, or the parent animal sits on them to keep the eggs warm. And within the egg, the tiny baby goes through various stages of development, as we have just seen. in previous video how an egg develops into a young one, and finally the baby hatches out after its maturity, and the baby bird then grows into an adult. Now let's have a look at life cycle of a hen. An adult or a hen produces eggs. Eggs turns into embryo. Embryo leads to hatchling of an egg, means breaking down of egg, and baby comes out, and then that baby becomes a chick and then an adult. So this is how life cycle of hen or chicks keeps on going. Now let's have a look at reproduction in frogs. Frogs also reproduce by laying eggs, and frogs lays several eggs together, and then a tadpole hatches out of each egg, and this tadpole looks entirely different from an adult frog, and then this tadpole undergoes several changes to become an adult, and this process through which a tadpole changes into an adult frog is called metamorphosis. So students, this is how life cycle of frogs keeps on going. Now let's have a look at reproduction in butterflies. So students, butterflies also reproduce by laying eggs, and life cycle of butterflies also involves metamorphosis, which means that the young one which is produced from the egg took several changes or undergoes through several developmental stages to become a butterfly. As you can see in the image, from egg a caterpillar comes out, which is entirely different from the adult butterfly. Then this caterpillar goes through the stage of pupa. Pupa is a stage, students, in which the body of caterpillar is covered with a thread-like structure, and finally after undergoing the stage of pupa it turns into a butterfly, a beautiful butterfly, and this process keeps on repeating in case of butterflies. So students, that's a bit about eggs laying animals. Now let's study about the second category of animals which produce babies or babies producing animals. There are several animals such as tigers, lions, pandas, and of course human beings. They reproduce by giving birth to babies. They do not produce eggs, rather they give direct birth to babies. And students, in such animals the baby develops inside the mother's body, and these animals that give direct birth to babies are known as mammals, and human beings are one of the most common example of mammals. Beside human beings, other animals such as cats, dogs, cows, horses, etc. are all examples of mammals. And students, young babies or young ones of these mammals feed on their mother's milk. And students, another feature about mammals is that most mammals have hair on their body, except some animals such as whales and dolphins. These are the fishes and these are mammals. These are found in water, but they do not have hair on their body. Otherwise most of the mammals have hair on their bodies. And students, mammals have another main features that they have very well developed brains, and most of the mammals reside on land and they breathe through lungs. Whales and dolphins breathe through lungs and come to the surface of water every now and then to breathe in air. And students, just as our parents or just as human beings take care of their young ones or their babies, similarly all other mammals also look after their babies. They feed their babies, they protect their babies from other animals, and of course they love their babies the most. So students, this is all for today. Hope you must have comprehended everything. We'll meet you on the next turn. Till then, take care and be safe.